Hey there, I'm in Springdale, Washington at Brothers Bar. It just happened to be my brother's bar. So here we go. My brothers bought this bar several years ago, and they have worked their tails off to make it this incredible space now. They serve food here. They have weekly specials. This is the gathering space for Springdale, Washington. People come here because they love the space. They love my brothers. Look at this beautiful bar. They have a great beer garden out here. Lots of different activities, barbecues, tournaments. They do dart tournaments. They do horseshoe tournaments. They have lots of bands. If you guys are ever in Springdale, Washington, I could not recommend a better place to go. It's the Cheers of Washington State. Beautiful. Good morning, everyone. I am here with my second to oldest brother, Rich Kinney. He is the owner of Brothers Bar, and I'm in Springdale, Washington. Came out from Arizona to visit and to spend time. How you doing, Rich?
I'm doing great.
Great. This is a beautiful bar here that you guys have created.
Oh, it is really, yeah. Turned out to be a lot of fun, especially this year. Things have just been amazing.
That's awesome. I couldn't encourage you to come and visit more. So I get to interview my brother, and I'm so excited for this. So I'm just going to dive in. Let's see. What do you think that your relationships have taught you about yourself?
Well, first of all, not to take myself too seriously. I often would expect people to think the way I did, and I realized that was a big mistake because that just isn't the way the world works.
So how is it being a bar owner in a small town?
You know, you really get a lot of close-knit relationships, and you kind of become a little celebrity in town. People are always stopping and saying, hey. And of late, the bar's just been great here in this town. We've had so many fun gatherings.
So what are some of the gatherings that you guys have here?
Well, a lot of the gatherings we do of late have just been getting together and visit. People coming into the bar,
Yeah.
throwing birthday parties, throwing whatever celebratory thing. They find this is a good place to do it.
So have you hosted weddings here or wedding parties?
Wedding parties. We do also a lot of life celebrations happen at the Grange down the road, and then the people migrate from there down here just to reminisce. We do class reunions for the school here.
Mm-hmm. And then you had an event yesterday. What was that?
Well, it's still continuing today. It is a memorial pool tournament for the Ford family out of Wellpinette.
Okay.
And they had like 60 players, and they came all with their spouse and friends. So we probably had 150 people in here yesterday.
Holy cow! So are you talking about Native Americans or just people from Wellpinette?
Actually, there's people from all over that were playing in it, but it is a native tournament as far as from the Fords are from the Spokane tribe, which I'm a dear friend of. They come over from the Colville tribe as well, but we had a lot of local players in it as well.
That's so great. Let's see. So you are the second oldest of 6 kids.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't even imagine what that experience was like in your life.
Well, growing up there was two sets, a younger set of three and an older set of three, and me being in the middle. And classic middle children are kind of like peacekeepers or mediators. We're not that lead like Dennis was as far as the older brother. And so growing up, I think it was pretty good. I find parallels with myself and Sean, the middle of the other three.
Yeah.
Kind of have that disposition where you have to be able to kind of assess the situation and look at what's going on, and then if you can, mediate it, but if not, just try to navigate it.
Yeah. And so I know at a fairly young age you went into the Air Force. And what sparked us? How did you make that decision?
Well, I had early in life, I thought I was going to be the superstar track runner. I mean, I excelled in high school and did, made Runner's World magazine and did a few things, but then I pushed myself to the point where I got an injury in my hip and running was no longer really going to be an option for me. And there was a house at home, but I needed to go out there and explore and just go out and do the world. So the Air Force was a great fit for me. And I went and pretty much spent a good part of that time back in New York.
And so you've been married 3 times.
I have been married 3 times. The first one was with my sweetheart I met when I went in the Air Force, and we have 2 kids together that are amazing.
I second that.
So, and then the second marriage,
Was short-lived.
very short-lived. I ended up in a relationship and went all in on it, and there became some jealousy from the wife about the relationship I had created with her children, to the point where she started having her parents come over while she was gone to be with the kids while I was there. And that to me was, so many red flags came up, and I was realizing this is not going to be a good fit for me.
Right. And let me just tell you that Rich is a great guy. He is an amazing dad. He looks out for people, and he's just an incredibly caring, thoughtful, one of the most thoughtful human beings I've ever met. So, yeah.
Yeah, so for me too, that was I think the only relationship that I really terminated on my own terms on that type of thing. The first one was, we fell apart, and she was, decided that we shouldn't be married. And
And they were young,
Yeah, very young. But I'm a believer, if you put yourself out there and you put yourself in a commitment, that you're going to hang on to that commitment and see it through.
Yeah. So what do you, out of the 3 marriages, what would you say is your number one takeaway in a marriage? Like, what is the most important thing in a marriage?
Well, I think you got to do some communication stuff. I mean, you gotta let people know what you're thinking, and don't expect them to actually think the way you're gonna think either. But it would be nice if they would follow along to some degree.
Yeah. So, if you could give advice to somebody, just life advice in general, what advice would that be?
I would say if you're going to go out there and you're going to find yourself a life partner, find somebody that truly enjoys what you do.
Rich is a busy guy. His phone is always ringing.
Sorry about that.
He is loved, and he's always super busy, so that's what that's about, and that's okay. So when has there been a time that you were absolutely certain that you were right about something, and then later on you realized that you were very wrong about that thing?
Well, Brothers is probably a good point on that. Early on, working with Sean and Raul, who were partners with me as we started this, I really thought I was absolutely right about how things were going and then when my eyes were opened by my two brothers, like, hey, I was like, oh, this is maybe not the way I thought things were. So it was an absolute humbling moment, and it took me a moment to come to grips that, yeah, you know, what they said had merit and I maybe needed. And I think that goes back to what I was saying earlier, where I was having people personalizing how people should have been thinking. You know, I thought that they'd be thinking the way I was without really opening in my mind to the point where, you know, they've got their own perspective, and doing that then lets me see a bigger picture.
So, what I'm wondering is, what is some of the best advice that our mom gave you?
I think some of the strongest points is, you know, and it wasn't even via words, it was worth action. She always persevered. She always followed through. She worked hard her whole life and built a work ethic that if you work and believe in what you're doing, then you're going to succeed.
I agree. So our stepdad was a great guy. He was a very unique individual, and you never knew what he was going to do. Do you have any funny Cliff story that you would like to share?
Well, we called him Wrong Way Nelson. And it wasn't necessarily that he didn't know how to get around or anything like that, but he was always so interested in everything that was going on around him. I mean, genuinely. And would be on track, and we would be going somewhere, and the next thing you know, he would see something that would catch his eye, and then he'd be going in that direction, and it would have nothing to do with what we were going to do, but you know, and out of it would come an amazing relationship. He'd just sit there, and he felt joy when he got to be able to connect with what he was going after.
So what do you think your superpower is? Because I know what I think it is, but I want to hear what you think it is.
My superpower is, at least now, not reacting, but being proactive, is being able to take something and then process it and then come back and speak at it at a level that is respectful for the person that I'm talking to, and taking the high road. That's my superpower, taking the high road and being respectful when I engage.
Rich's other superpower is that he can bend time.
Well, a little bit.
Yeah, Rich has been back and forth across the United States more than a couple times, and he can do it in record time, and no one knows how he does it. And we ask him, and he says, I can bend time.
Wow. I do have I don't know how I do it, but you know, there's a payback for that. Because when you steal time from here, you have to give it back over here.
Gotcha. So
sometimes that we're like, the other times like, why is this taking so long?
Yeah. So is there any kind of mystery in life in general that just mystifies you? Like you can't figure out like how that is, or?
Well, yeah. For me, I have a belief that, you know, no one gets up in the morning thinking, hey, how can I fuck things up? I'm sorry about that.
No, that's okay.
How can I make this absolutely the worst possible day for someone?
Yeah.
That mystifies me that people will go out there and have even close to that perspective. Because to this point, it's like, and I can't help but calling them out on it. I'm like, did you plan on making this a shitty day?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. So how do you carve out time for yourself?
Well, that's a good question.
I mean, what do you like to do?
You know, I used to like to go fishing, and in fact, I'm starting to do that again a little bit with my buddy Ross. We've been out on the lake a couple times, and you know, I used to like to go camping and spend time in the woods. I live in the woods, so when I go camping or something, it's usually at a place where there's more people around than what they're normally around when I'm at home, for real.
Yeah, right.
So, and that's that's something I have to learn to do. I've worked so hard for so many years that I'm not real good at recreating right now.
Yeah. I'm just going to invite you to think about that more, brother. Let's see. So, what gives you meaning, like in life, beyond? Because Rich used to be Rich. What was your last title when you left the hospital?
Oh, I was the hospital supervisor up at Mount Carmel for like 20 years.
Yeah.
Plus.
So after that successful run in your life, how do you define success now?
I define success with the relationships and the friendships I've continued to nurture and continue to meet people and have, and being able to give advice. And I'm an RN, and I'm still an RN. And even just the other day, there was like, hey, I've got this. I'm like, well, come on over. Let's get it taken care of. So
awesome.
success in life is still being able to use what skills that you have and offer them up freely.
Nice. What problem in the world do you think is misunderstood? Or people think one way about it, but they're not really.
I think that the biggest problem, at least my core problem I see out there, is entitlement. And I think as a society, we're creating an entitled thing. I think the fact that you have a graduation for preschool, you have a graduation for kindergarten, you have a graduation for middle school. I mean, graduating is an achievement. And I mean, getting through high school, doing basic things should not be rewarded. It should be expected.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And I think as a society, when we reward just doing the minimal instead of reaching a benchmark, then we're creating a problem for the future.
Yeah, I think you're correct about that. So what do you think the difference between intuition and wisdom?
I think intuition leads to wisdom. Because I believe if you're intuitive about something, you may not quite know how you're going to do it until you do it. But if you're intuitive and it leads you to that, and then a skill set will follow, and with that skill set, wisdom will come.
What do you think, how do you know how do you connect with your intuition? How does that come to you?
I think that just being aware of your environment, listening to the signs that are out there. A good example was I need to slow down and not go around this corner so fast. And it was brought to me by an eagle flying over my head, and I just stopped to pause, and I went around the corner a little bit later, and a truck was sliding down the hill that I would have been underneath.
Whoa. Wow. You just gave me goosebumps. Wow.
So you have to pay attention to what's out there, because if you listen, the world is speaking to you.
Yeah, it's true. So when was the last time that your intuition spoke to you and you didn't listen to it and you did the thing that you were...
Well, that's probably been an ongoing thing. My intuition was that I needed to change the direction that my bar was going. And I didn't listen, and it would just kept screaming at me.
Yeah.
And so finally, finally took advantage of that and made some very drastic changes. And it was so profound that it didn't just affect me, it affected my whole community.
Yeah, it's interesting because, I live in Arizona, so coming up here, even walking into the bar, it feels like the space, there's been so much expansion here, and it feels happier here. And it's almost like you can feel a buzz around town that everyone is excited, that now there's a gathering place where, is the bar open every day a week?
Not yet. We're open 6 days a week. We just reopened on Monday. And in fact, the door still shows closed. I got to change the sign out there. But even with the sign on the door, people came in and we had a very fun event that day.
That's amazing. And just so you know, Springdale is a very small town. I think is that restaurant still over there in the corner?
It's just a coffee shop right now.
Okay. So there's no real restaurant in town where people can get food. There's a grocery store here. That's the grocery store, the liquor store, a post office, although there is a standalone post office, and a hardware store. And so by Rich having the bar and creating a gathering space, you will see a lot of people from town in this place quite frequently because this is the gathering place, which is phenomenal. They can come down, they can have food, and Rich has really created some healthy options for people. And I mean, I don't even have that in my town. So I think this is just an incredible space. You've done an incredible job here. And, if you guys get to Springdale, Washington, I said it before and I'm going to say it again, come on down. What do you think that you are here to learn in this lifetime?
Well, I think I had to learn, as I'm looking back over all of the other, that I had to finish what I was doing. I think there was a time in other lifetimes where I didn't do that. That's what kept throwing me back in here, because I did not complete. And I think in other lives, when I was done, and I threw in the towel to the point where I probably even took my own life, is kind of my perception on that. So even though I battled that a little bit, challenging, why am I even doing this?
Yeah.
I don't see what the end game is going to be out of all of this. And but then I had just opened my eyes and look at all the good people that are around me, genuinely, and to take that positive energy and to be able to accept that.
Yeah.
As opposed to having to be on my own.
Do you ever find that you've received some kind of intuition and you just start doing something and you don't know why you're doing it, but you're doing it, and then like a little bit down the road, the message comes clear as to why you were doing that thing?
Well, yeah, I've had that happen probably at least a dozen times in my life, where I didn't know exactly why I was heading to where I was doing, but then met someone who had a message for me.
Yeah.
To maybe change my path, or to open, taking a class. I had no idea while I would ever take the class. While I was in nursing school, it wasn't a prerequisite, it wasn't a requirement, but probably one of the best lessons I learned in life was from that class.
Wow.
The professor came up to, and the one message I took away from that was, never ever be good at the expense of anyone else. You don't have to stand on someone's shoulder and push them down to hold you up. You should be there standing right next to them. And if you want to do something good, do it. But it's not because I'm better than you, or because...
Wow. I mean, that's great advice. That was my next question. Has someone given you advice that still sticks with you?
Yeah.
Because something that one of the first people that I worked for, his name was Brian, and I was working on a project, and it was on an old Victorian home, and I had, it was a shit show. So there was a lot of stuff that was out of my control, and like wallpaper that had been put on with I have no idea what it was, but it became part of the surface.
Right.
And so, I was working on stuff like that, and I went to Brian, and I said, Brian, I'm done, but I'm not happy with it, and this and that and the other thing. And Brian looked me right in the eye, and he said, is that the best you can do? And that was over 30 years ago.
Yeah.
And that guy, no matter what I'm doing, that guy still rings through my head, is that the best you can do? And because of Brian, he has made me better at life in general, because I'm constantly, is that the best you can do?
Right.
So I don't know if that's a blessing or a curse, but thank you, Brian, for that. So if this were your, knock on wood, if this were your final year and you could do anything without consequence, I mean, you didn't have to worry about money, time, physicality, anything, what would you do?
Well, I think I would love to do an absolute travel unabated across the country, not necessarily in a big motorhome, but just hop back in a car and drive. Stop in hotels or wherever I could lodge. Wouldn't even have to be a hotel. I mean, some of my best days I traveled with just a tarp. I mean, an old oil canvas tarp in the back of the car and my sleeping bag. And I had comfort. I had a pillow.
Rich did this many times, and he road trip with his children many times. And just those kids, they talk about those times, and it is really some of the best times of their life. They talk about their dad and the things he did, and it's what a beautiful time in life, and how free.
It is. There's a total sense of freedom because you don't know what's around the corner.
Yeah.
Like when we got through South Dakota and we went down to the Bethlehem Caves, and it was one of the most remarkable things. And we get all the way down there, and the guide turns off the lights. He says, "Well, here's the deal. You guys paid to get down here. Now there's a collection to get out."
Oh my God. Will you take a check? Oh my gosh. What question do you wish that people would ask you more?
What question? I don't know. That's a ponderous thing.
Okay.
I would think that if they would ask more often instead of just how are you doing, or are you happy, or what could we do as a collaborative thing? I think that would be more of a, instead of, most people come up and they ask you how you doing, and most people really don't want to know. They really don't want you to unload the shit. It's a courtesy thing. So I don't ask people how they're doing. I genuinely, my it's good to see you is my response to people when I'm like,
yeah.
Because I really don't want them to unload all their problems on me. I've got my own.
Sure. Oh my God.
Because my problem is I'm going to try to fix that shit, and I got enough to do already.
I can imagine as a bar owner, you do have to be in awareness of that. Like, hey, nice to see you.
Yeah.
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 What is one thing that you would like people to remember about you?
That there's a smile. And the smile is genuine.
Yeah. So this is an off-the-cuff question. Out of all of the places we lived when we were kids,
Yeah.
where was your favorite place?
Probably Electric Avenue.
Yeah.
I lived in places for just a couple of years. Nothing ever really longer than that. Because the family kept growing, and we kept progressing through neighborhoods in Walla Walla.
Yeah.
We were at one time would be considered on the wrong side of the railroad tracks. I don't know if you guys even know what that term means anymore. But, through all of that, those were all growing experiences. But Electric Avenue, I was coming of age, becoming a man, and got to play a lot, had dear friends, and yeah, I would say as a child growing up, well, that would be it.
Yeah, I would agree with Rich. Electric Avenue. There was something so special about it. Across the street, there was it was on the city-county line in Walla Walla, Washington, and so we lived in this big corner lot, and there was a railroad track right across the street, and there was a pasture and cows, and the cows were always getting out.
And then our front yard was a bowl with two creeks that converged.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, and it's full of fruit trees, and my mom was always
And the
canning
water
fruit
was
trees.
cold, and we could hide our beer in the creek.
Yeah, and the older boys, Rich and Dennis, you guys would fly kites out there.
All right. Or get on the train when we weren't supposed to. As
Yeah.
it slowed down because our neighbor across the way, hey, can you throw some of the sugar beets to my cows?
Well, and the other thing is our cousin. What was he?
Bryce. Bryce was a conductor on the train, and he was knocking on the door one day, talking to his cousin, my mom, our mom, Sally. Can you tell those boys to stop getting on my train?
Yeah. And was it you or was it Dennis that stole Dad's car and drove it down the train tracks?
That was me.
Oh my gosh. So there's 4 boys in the family and 2 girls, and it was a hell of a good time. It really was. We've done a lot. My mom, we grew up camping together, and that was something that my mom loved to do.
Yeah.
We were camping all the time, and there was one time we were camping, and the boys loved to collect frogs and snakes and what have you, and bring them home. And one time, the guys got a snake, and
Oh no, we got a whole bag of snakes, and these were bull snakes, and the shortest one was probably 6 feet. They were between 6 and 8 feet, and probably about that big around. And we had them in the gunny sack and tucked away in the back of the car, and we were ready to go. Mom's like, "Is that bag of snakes in the car?" And we're like, "Yeah, it's good to go." And she was like, "No, you won't take them out." And we opened the bag of snakes, and one was missing. And it was in the car, and Mom just turned the car off and got out, got her camping chair out, and sat down with a beverage and said, "We're not going anywhere."
oh, my mom did this so many times. Like, my sister was really wild when she was younger, and she hated wearing a bra. And we'd be all ready to go somewhere, and my sister would come out and get in the car, and my mom would turn the car off. Well, we'll be ready to go as soon as Cindy goes and puts her bra on. Oh, man. The stories after stories. Anyway, Rich, thank you so much for your time. I love you
You're
so
welcome.
much. So proud of you.